Welcome to our Culture to the World. As you know, on this program, we like to focus on cultural connections. Recently, I've been reflecting on our foodways and how many of our dishes are related. Today, I would like to take a look at rice and peas, or if you want to say rice and beans, depending on where you're from, dishes made with rice and beans cooked together. Does your country have a rice and beans dish or rice and peas dish? What is it? Share it with us in the comment section. I am from Guyana, as you know, and in Guyana, one of our national dishes is cook rice. Notice I said one of our national dishes, and that is because we have more than one national dish. And as I mentioned, one is cook rice, or sometimes we just say cook. What is cook? In Guyana, we have all kinds of cook. It's a one-pot dish. The rice, beans, and meat are cooked in coconut milk with adequate amounts of seasonings. What kind of meat? It's mainly beef or chicken, and sometimes some folks like to add salted pork or pigtail, as they call it. This is salted pig's tail. And sometimes, even when we have other kinds of meat in our cook-up rice, we have fried fish or fish cakes or fish fritters along with the meal. Of course, there are vegetarian versions of cook-up rice where no meat is added to the pot. So it would just be the rice and peas or beans with the seasonings and cooked all together in coconut milk. Now, as I mentioned, in Guyana, we have all kinds of cook-up. So we don't only use one kind of peas or beans, we use different kinds of peas. So we use black-eyed peas, yellow split peas, pigeon peas, or as it's called in Spanish, gandules, that's pigeon peas, red kidney beans, any kind of dried peas or beans we use. But we also have vegetable varieties of cook-up. So callaloo cook-up. Callaloo is a kind of spinach cook-up, pumpkin cook-up. But we're not going to talk about those today. We leave those for another day. Today we're focusing on the one-pot dishes made with rice and peas or rice and beans. Our closest Caribbean neighbor is Trinidad and Tobago. Their rice and peas dish is called pilau. It is prepared similarly to Guyanese cook-up rice. However, even though they too use coconut milk in theirs, they tend to use smaller quantities of the coconut milk, so the taste is not the same. And also, they prefer to use mainly brown pigeon peas, and they like to add brown sugar to the pot as it's when they're cooking it. As I mentioned, the taste it has a slightly different taste from our Guyanese cook-up rice. So that's pilau from Trinidad and Tobago. Other Caribbean nations with similar dishes are Jamaica. They call theirs rice and peas. And Jamaican rice and peas is a vegetarian dish. Excuse me, they do not cook the meat in the pot. So they would cook the peas, and usually this is red kidney beans. Um, of course, sometimes they use another kind, but that's the main one that they use, red kidney beans and rice, and cooked all together in seasoned coconut milk. And if they're going to have meat, it's on the side along with it, but not cooked into the pot. In Puerto Rico, as you say in English, in Puerto Rico, they have arroz con gandules, and that's rice and pigeon peas, and that's cooked together with the appropriate amounts of seasonings and additives to give it a nice flavor. Sometimes they add bacon or ham to add to the flavor of the dish. Still in the Hispanic Caribbean, we go to Cuba. In Cuba, they have a rice and beans dish called congri, arroz congri. Sometimes it's called moros y cristianos, And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that afterwards. But it's a really popular Cuban dish, and it's generally cooked with black beans and rice, cooked together with the appropriate seasonings. And more often than not, they would add bacon to the pot to add to the flavor. Um, what I have noticed, and if I am incorrect, I would love for those who know better to correct me, just put it in the comments. What I've noticed that there is this rice and beans all together, arroz con gris, and some call arroz con gris moros y cristianos, but the Cubans also have a dish where you have the bean stew that's eaten along with the white rice, and some also call that moros y cristianos. In Central America, both Nicaragua and Costa Rica claim gallo pinto as their national dish. It's generally red or black beans and rice cooked together with the appropriate seasonings and additives. And it's typically served for breakfast. Yes, it's a breakfast dish, served with eggs, cheese, and tortillas in some cases. But even though it's generally seen as a breakfast dish, it can be eaten at any meal, any time of the day. In Panama, they have a dish called arroz con gandules. And as I mentioned before, gandules is pigeon peas. And or they call it guandu. So if you think about gandules, guandu, it's kind of like a shortened version of that word. And as I mentioned, that's pigeon peas and rice. And some people cook it with coconut milk and some without. And either way, it's a delicious side dish. The Haitian rice and beans dish is called diri aqua. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is red or black beans or pinto beans, and they're cooked with the rice in coconut milk with adequate seasonings. Now let's take a ride across the Atlantic onto the continent of Africa. The Ghanaians have a dish called waki or awaki. My pronunciation may not be correct. I have it written there for you to see what the word is. This is the rice and the beans could be black-eyed peas or cow beans, and they're cooked with red dried sorghum or millet leaf stalks and limestone. Now, as you can see from this little foray into rice and peas or rice and beans dishes, we have moved from South America to the English-speaking Caribbean, to the Hispanic Caribbean, to Central America, to the continent of Africa. And I know I haven't touched on all the rice and peas or rice and beans dishes that they are out there. So again, I invite you to share what are your rice and peas dishes in your culture. Talk about it. Share in the comments. And as I mentioned at the outset, my focus today was the rice and peas dishes that I have come across or heard of, in which the rice and the beans or peas are cooked all together as one pot. Okay, one dish. But there are many other dishes where the beans and the rice are cooked separately and eaten and eaten as a meal. So you have kind of a stew made with the beans, and then you eat that with rice. And we have that in our culture in Guyana as well. We do that with like black-eyed peas and so on, and eat it with rice. And I know it exists in other culture. I know that in Latin America, in other parts in the Caribbean, in the southern United States, and in parts of Africa, they also have these dishes where the rice and the peas are cooked separately and you eat them together. Okay. So maybe in another video, we can take a look at some of those dishes. But, it might cause us to reflect on these connections. There's so many similarities, so many more similarities than differences in the way we live and in things that we do in this world. And we may sometimes, as I mentioned, foodways, where did these come from? Where did they originate? Something to think about. And if you can share, if you have any ideas, or if you have done the research to help us to see, we share it. I'd love to hear, and I know other viewers would love to learn about this as well. So thanks for watching, and there are lots of recipes for the dishes I mentioned online. So if for instance you've never had them and you would like to experiment, you would like to try some arroz con gandules or Guyanese cook-up rice or Trinidadian palau, Jamaican rice and beans, Haitian diri akwa, it's all there. Just Google. All right. Thanks again for watching. We see you soon when we continue to share the aspects of cultures from around our world in our next episode of Our Culture to the World. Bye now.